When I'm dancing, it made me think of our ancestors. These are the things that we inherit from them, passed on from generation to generation.
Papua New Guinea is home to hundreds of tribes and cultures, a land of incredible diversity. At this festival in the capital Port Moresby, it's all on display.
I'm happy to celebrate, to represent not only where I came from, my province, but also Papua New Guinea as a whole.
Today, Ian Sungut is dancing on sacred ground. 50 years ago, at this stadium, the Australian flag was lowered, marking an end to colonial rule. The next day, the Papua New Guinean flag was raised for the first time. The children of PNG's founding father remember it fondly.
See, I just love that. I just love that.
Dad's lamb chops and the aviators, that famous shot with Sir Gough Whitlam.
Sir Michael Somare, a former teacher and radio announcer, was the country's first Prime Minister. At the time, PNG had endured almost a century of colonisation, first by Germany and then Britain. Australia ruled parts of the nation from the early 1900s and took control of the entire territory in 1949. Roughly 2,000 Australian patrol officers were sent over to enforce the rules of the colony. Relationships between locals and Australians were mixed.
The rules were really punitive. Segregation was a thing that was humiliating. He just didn't like the fact that his own people were being treated as subhuman.
My name is Michael Somare. I am 31 years old.
As a young man living in Port Moresby, Somare experienced discrimination firsthand.
His take-home pay was a stipend of very low dollars and corned beef and biscuits. And these were all things that helped him in his focusing his thinking towards what would it be like if Papua New Guineans were to determine their own future.
In the late 1960s, Somare moved into politics. He and others began calling for self-government.
You are seeking what?
We are seeking home rule.
This is our country, we will live here, we will die here. So the government must be ours.
Back in Australia, a global push towards decolonisation was also gaining momentum. In 1972, Gough Whitlam was elected Prime Minister and made PNG's independence a foreign policy priority.
I cannot stress too often that the decision for independence is not only a decision about Papua New Guinea, it is about Australia and Australia's view of her own proper role in the world. Australia is no longer willing to be the ruler of a colony.
It was one of those items that he thought Australia really had to clean up its act on and get moving on. That's something that...
A young Anthony Whitlam remembers travelling to PNG with his father prior to the election.
What did your dad tell you about people's right to self-determination?
He regarded all those people as people who were well entitled to have their own independent countries and to run them as they thought and not be beholden to any of the so-called great powers.
It's that meeting of the mind between Michael Somare and Gough Whitlam that was important.
But not everyone supported the idea of independence. In parts of the PNG highlands, contact with the wider world had only occurred a few decades earlier, and many felt the country was not ready.
They're very concerned about independence. They don't want independence yet.
From the very outset, the old man's biggest challenge was to get everyone together and share in a vision that they are one people.
In the first step towards change, PNG became a self-governing territory in 1973, and 2 years later, on the 16th of September, it was granted full independence.
Walking around PNG today, there's an air of celebration. People are wearing national colours and there's an enormous sense of pride as the country marks 50 years. But many are also reflecting on the struggles PNG faces today.
Papua New Guinea's anti-corruption body estimates up to $1.4 billion could be lost to corruption each year. Meanwhile, around 40% of the country are living in poverty. At the village of Hanuabada in the centre of Port Moresby, Shirley Maku doesn't have access to running water in her home. She's unemployed and makes money selling betel nut on the street.
At least
Papua New Guinea's Prime Minister, James Marape, acknowledges the country has a long way to go, but he says there's still much to celebrate.
Where else in the world do you find that diversity in a symphony of one nation, one people, one country? I'm the first to admit challenges remain. I wish I had all the resources to fix this country. Let's cut it. Thank you. Thank you very much. And I want to say thank you to Australians. If there are any people who've stood with us for the last 50 years, Australians have so.
A relationship that continues to endure.
I hope we continue to provide reasonable levels of support. It's one of the problems of any aid, of course, to what extent it becomes institutionally something on which you rely.
Sir Michael Samaria's children believe the solutions to the country's problems lie in the hands of its people.
I am so proud. I'm such a proud Papua New Guinean. Imagine what we've achieved. Imagine that we survived as Indigenous people close to our land and sea for about 40,000 years. And along came a group that said, we're going to be like everybody else now. We're going to be contained in what is called a nation. We did that in a really short period of time. So imagine what we're going to be able to do in 50 years.